everybody. Thank you for joining us for another one of our community conversation series. Today we are joined by Ryan Loiselle, who is a licensed independent clinical social worker and program director at one of our community partners, Friends Way. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Hannah.
So first, this is going to be a conversation about grief and bereavement, especially as it appears in children and young people. I think that this is a topic that a lot of people are nervous to approach, and maybe we inadvertently send some messages that death and grieving are not things that we talk about, even if that's not on purpose. So I'm happy to explore that with you today.
Sure.
So I think to get started, what do you do at Friends Way? What does Friends Way do to support children in Rhode Island?
So we're modeled after the Dougie Center. So it's a national children's grief organization that hundreds of organizations like ours participate. So kids are aged 3 through 18, and they're accompanied by a caregiver. We don't always say a parent because we know it's not always a parent. So they're seeking services with us after somebody has died. So people don't like to talk about death, especially with kids.
Yeah.
So we're trying to normalize the experience that, hey, you've experienced the death of your mom, and it's still okay to be around others, to have fun, to play, to explore. So we're really there to normalize. It's offered at no cost to our families. It's not a clinical model. So our volunteers are the ones who are leading and facilitating our support groups that have gone through a training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's special about that model where it's largely volunteers and it's not clinical? What's so special about that?
I think it really breaks the isolation of, you don't have to sit one-on-one with a therapist, nothing's wrong with you, right? And it's meeting kids and where they're at. We're humans.
Yeah.
Right? We're wired differently in how we express our feelings. And there's magic around being a kid to be like, I feel like I'm the only one at my school. Come to Friends Way, and there's 20 to 25 other families each night.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh my gosh, your mom died too. Like, I'm not a crazy alien person.
Yeah, exactly. And that group approach, I think, allows kids to be themselves. Great. So we know that everyone experiences or expresses grief in different ways. What are some ways that are unique that you see often with the way that kids express grief?
This is probably the biggest question I get from all the families that reach out to us, right? They want to know if their kid is going to be quote unquote okay.
Yeah.
Which I tend to not like, oh, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that mean?
Yep.
I always bring it back to, how is this child functioning prior to the death? What's their expression like? Do they outwardly tell you, like, you know when your child is angry or sad or mad, or do they tend to be bottled up a bit more? Do they keep things more reserved? Most of the time, obviously there are exceptions. However, a child has grown in their development and being expressive or demonstrative in their play, typically that's how they're going to express their grief.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the adults come into play, because the adults don't always think that they're modeling.
Yeah.
They're modeling behavior.
Yeah.
So if the adult is showing sadness or showing tears, most often the adults call and say, well, my kid's not crying. It's like, okay, do you cry in front of your children?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, I don't want them to know I'm upset.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're learning from you, that they can't show that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of our goals, to really help bridge that communication, to say it's okay to talk about when you're feeling sad, or it's okay to say, I was feeling really guilty about being happy because I just scored a goal in soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to cry or be happy all the time, or I don't know how to feel? So
Yeah.
I think there's so much judgment in grief.
Yeah, and we've encountered some books that discuss this topic as well too, of, sometimes there will be a loss and it's hard for the parents. So we have a book that's about a sibling who has died, and it's really hard for the parents themselves to talk about it, and the child gets the message that they shouldn't bring up their sibling because that's going to hurt their parents in some way. So having that extra space where they can bring up that person, that someone that they have lost, where there's no feelings, where they think that they're going to scare their parents or upset their remaining people or anything like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Right, and adults are sometimes walking on eggshells with kids,
Yeah.
right? To be like, today would have been their brother's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Do I bring that up to them? And it's like, if it's on your mind, it's probably on theirs.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're not talking about it, you're telling them that it's not okay to talk about it. And to say, well, they're playing and they're so happy, I don't want to remind them.
Mm-hmm.
It's on their mind, and that might give them that validation to say, oh, right, we can check in about this.
Yeah, definitely. So I think my next question is, in preparation for a death, or even if there's not a death that you know is coming, what can be the benefit of talking with kids about death before it happens?
Anytime you include a child in something, it makes them feel important.
Yeah.
Because so many times, right, I used to work for hospice, and it's like, well, we don't want them to know that grandma has cancer, or we don't want them to know. It's like, that's more of the adult problem,
Mm-hmm.
because they may have been traumatized at a particular age, and we're assuming that that's going to be the child's experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you prepare a child for anything, right, so here at the museum, kids know what to expect. They know where to go. They know where the bathroom is. They know where they can take a break and have a snack. Similarly, when kids are going to a hospital to see their family member who may be sick and may look different,
Mm-hmm.
explain to them, you know, grandma's going to look a little bit different. She might have some tubes that are helping her breathe. She might not be as awake as you're used to seeing her. She might have some needles in her. That doesn't mean she's being hurt. That's how the medicine's being delivered to
Yeah.
her. Preparing kids for things helps.
Yeah.
We know that as adults, we do it all the time. Like, you know what to expect when you're going places. The
Yeah.
adult's responsibility is to inform the kids.
Yeah.
And it's to say, hey, the last time you saw grandma, she was walking. Right now, her body is so weak, she's not able to get out of bed. So you won't be able to sit on the floor with her, but maybe you can sit in her hospital bed with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think when we know that there is something coming, that's a great opportunity. We have books here at the museum that discuss death or grieving, things like that. And I see a lot of grown-ups come in and say, oh, no, that one's not for us. At some point, it likely will be for you at some point in your life. And so we try and provide that all the time. For one, we don't know who's here or what they have experienced. Sure. But also just I think of there's nothing wrong with reading about someone who has died before that has personally impacted you. Right. So it's something that we try and keep in mind here as well, that there's benefit to talking about it first.
Right, because having things out there, it's like, oh, I mean, you can choose whether or not you want to read about a science fiction book.
Right.
Right, so I think sometimes it's so stigmatized,
yeah.
just to say the word death and died. It's like, I don't want to say that word.
Yeah.
And then we use euphemisms of like passed away.
Yeah.
And mm-hmm. like, oh, we lost grandma. Well, where is she? Because our language
right.
is so important.
Yeah, and I think too, there's a difference between like a pet loss and a family loss, something like that. But there are ways to navigate that. We just navigated this with our 2-year-old. This was our first opportunity to mm-hmm. discuss loss with our 2-year-old because our dog died, and we had to be very careful about the way that we described it, just in terms of making sure that this set him up for a healthy relationship with loss in the future, of saying our dog died, mm-hmm. you know, her body stopped working, yep. she's not going to come back home, explaining the practical reality of what that will Absolutely. Look like for him, and just in hopes that this is a good foundation for moving forward, to give him that language and prepare him for that. So we definitely dug into that, just very precise and real language sure. of the practicality of what that looks like. So there's been a lot of conversation about, you know, different ways that children might lose a close family member or someone special to them permanently. that does not involve death. So whether that is parent-child separation, maybe by a state system, maybe by something like incarceration or deportation, how can the framework that we've built around loss support those children as well?
Sure. So, I mean, grief is a natural response to loss. Notice I didn't say death, right? Because we're grieving, certainly during the pandemic, something that you used to be able to do, and now you can't. So, like, you might be able to get some aspects of those things back, though it's not always guaranteed. So it's, again, natural response. Grief is the inside stuff. It's the feelings that we have. So if you can no longer visit a certain family member, right, because they've moved away. They've moved overseas. It's like, well, we just have to talk to them differently. It's hours difference, and we can't see them. Certainly with either, like you said, a divorce or kids who are in state custody or going from foster placement to foster placement. Kids never feeling like, am I safe? Like, safe tends to be that really big word of, do I unpack my stuff because I've left in the middle of the night before? And I'm feeling like I'm always on edge. And again, we need to talk about it and to say, how are you feeling about this is your 4th foster placement? And you must be feeling a certain way, or how are you feeling, right? I don't want to assume that you're feeling a certain way. And it's validating it to say, I don't know what you're going through. Tell me, draw it, let's play it out, right? Because you're going to see things in kids' play that may be a bit more out of the ordinary. They're doing a puppet show about someone who can no longer see their friend. And you're like, I wonder if this is what's really playing out in school, or paying attention to, talking to the school, seeing what behaviors might be happening differently, their eating and sleeping habits. I mean, all the things. I said, grief is a full body experience, not just with death, right? It's like, why am I starting to feel anxious around this particular time of day? Why am I feeling anxious when this is happening? Oh, I should be paying attention to my body.
For sure. Well, thank you for that. And I think that's actually a pretty good segue into the next question of, how does play factor into the way that kids work through grief, express grief, things like that?
I think I always say for adults, like, our job is to work. For kids, their job is to play. And I've been involved with camps, grief camps, for over 20 years. And we have that special sauce, that mix of, we're going to go play really, really hard in Gaga Ball. And then we're going to sit with our feelings and share pictures about the people who have died. And then we're going to go drumming. And then we've got some swimming. And we've got all these things. And the kids know how to tap into those different things. Right? I think us as adults can learn a lot from kids by paying attention to, okay, so they just went to the funeral, and now they're playing outside. And parents think that that's an awful being, not honoring that that person has just died. We're like, that's what they're supposed to do. They've just sat and absorbed all that hurt and pain, and now they need to figure out how to get that out of their body.
For sure.
And it's, play is, yes, it can be escapism. It's imaginative. This is where we need to learn more from kids, understand that maybe that was really hard for them to sit with, so they have to pretend that they're going into outer space and finding different buildings. It's like, wow, so that sounds like a really safe place that you're talking about. Maybe let's figure out how to give you a safe space here.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually seen some like funeral homes, they'll have a kids play space in them. And I think they're underutilized because I think a lot of times it's, well, now's not the time to play. I think it's kind of a perfect time.
It is.
Play. It's there for a reason.
In talking with families either anticipating a death, they're like, do I bring my child to services? And my answer is always yes, with an asterisk, right? If you've informed the child, give them that choice, because we see it Friends Way naturally months and years after, to say, I didn't go to the funeral because I wasn't allowed to. And oftentimes it's the adult making that decision to say, there's no way my child is going, and it may have been a previous trauma or hurt from that adult. So having that play space, as well as having another adult who can be responsible for those kids. So not someone who's standing in the receiving line to be responsible. It's like they went through the line, they did their 10 minutes, they're playing. Let's go take them for ice cream and get them on a playground because they did what they could in that time frame.
Yeah, for sure. So what role can organizations who support children in other ways, like us at the Children's Museum, support bereaved children and families? What role can we take in that?
Great question. And right, anywhere kids are is a community where we don't know anything about them, right? To be trauma informed, to not assume that a child is coming from a two-parent family, to not say, oh, is this your grandparent, or is this your mom, or it's like, tell me who this is, right? It's all about our language and understanding who they are. Like, tell me about who lives in your family. And they may share a little bit, and I think at Friendsway, we're working with families that most of the time it's a parent who has died. Even more often, it's their dad. We certainly have kids who their mom has died, a sibling, and we're seeing a little bit more now where perinatal losses are coming into play. So realistically, right, there's no absolute way that we can say, yes, this child who was in the womb with his sibling who died, we don't know if he, quote unquote, knew him. So we need to phrase our language differently to say, well, let's not tell us some memories about your brother. It's, what would you do with your brother if he was here?
Yeah.
How do you honor his life and his legacy? Oh, we have pictures, or we were able to do an imprint of his, foot and his hand. So it's never assuming that we know as adults. To say, oh, that must be really, you must be sad. It's like, nope, my dad was really mean to me and he hurt me.
Yeah.
So it's taking that trauma-informed approach to not assume that it was a loving relationship with the person who has died.
For sure. Thank you. Just I think to wrap it up, how can people support Friendsway and the children that you work with?
So Friendsway Services is offered at no cost. Doesn't mean it doesn't cost us things. Yeah. Right. We're providing pizza and salad, and I think in a year we spend about $18,000 just on food. So it's food, it's all the art supplies. I mean, it's our volunteers, and if we did not have our volunteers, we would not be able to sustain ourselves on a couple of staff people, doing all of this. And I say one of the best parts about our volunteers, first off, many of them have experienced the death of somebody close. And even more often now, we've been around for 25 years, people that were in our services as children, teens, or adults, find us years later and say, I don't know if you remember me, I was a kid there, or I was an adult there, and you helped me, and now I want to help more kids and teens understand that, yes, it's sad and it sucks that my person died. So I found a healing community. I found that I want to give back. So naturally, yes, like other organizations, we're always looking for dollars, right? We're always looking for sponsorships of all sorts of things. Though we're also looking for people's time. We've got folks that come in solely to help serve dinner, which is a huge help. Right? It allows our volunteers who are facilitating our groups to sit with the kids and teens and adults and not have to be behind the food line. And there's ways to, again, become a volunteer facilitator or help out with any of our special events to say, you know what, I don't know if I quite want to sit with kids who've experienced a loss, so I can reach out to a few places that I go out to eat often and ask them for a gift card. And I think it's all different ways like that, even just coming into our building and doing a mural or just doing some things to keep our mission going. Yeah,
for sure. And where can they connect with you if they're looking for support or they would like to support you in some way?
Sure. So friendsway.org, find us on the web, on our social media, obviously pick up a phone and call us too. And we always say we're the organization nobody wants to have to know about. a sad reason to get connected to us, though it's not always a sad place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ryan. Great talking to you, as always.
You too.
Thank you.